Okay, welcome everybody to episode 27. It's one of our interview series, Puff interview series.
It's been tough getting these interviews. You've been doing God's work behind the scenes.
A lot of coordination in the back, a lot of side emails going on in my regular day, but it's been worth it. So today we're going to have an interesting one because we have Mike Leibovitz, who is the coach of the Vaughan Rangers U11 single A team. Mm-hmm. And if you would listen to the episodes before, we called them out a week ago or a week and a half ago at this point because their team at the time had won 11 games and was ranked 34th in the province. Yes. And I questioned you. I said, Puff, we got to really look at these rankings. And again, it's my total naiveness and my lack of preparedness to really understand the rankings situation. But when I hear a team, running up the numbers like that, but not necessarily moving, Ted Reeve in 13th place, i.e., I question it. I don't really do the research on why I question it again. But anyway, in that little clip we had, they reached out to us. I believe one of the parents reached out to us and said, "Hey, our coach would be interested in talking to you about the rankings and a little bit about the team." And and at this time now, I think they've won 14, if not by the time this airs, even more.
14 in a row, yeah, might be more.
Yeah, so
more, yeah.
Yeah, so a really great interview with Mike. So today we're going to learn a little bit about the Vaughan Rangers U11 organization and a little bit about Coach Mike over there. So with that, why don't we jump right into the interview? Okay, G fans, get ready for a slapshot conversation because today we got the one and only Mike Leibovitz, head honcho of the Vaughan Rangers U11A team. He's on the podcast, you asked, because last week we actually showed a clip of them winning 11 games in a row, and in the rankings, they stayed in 34th position. And I questioned Puffy about this, and out of that, we got in touch with Mike, and now he's on to join us. And talking to Mike at the beginning here, he's at 14 in a row. So actually will be interesting to hear where they sit in the rankings today. So today we're going to talk to Mike. We're going to scratch our heads about how he's in the 34th spot, even though they've had 14 wins in a row. And we'll be discussing the world of GTHL sports rankings and a little bit more about the Vaughan U11 team. So welcome, Mike, to the pod. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is a pretty incredible opportunity.
Well, we appreciate you saying that.
Exactly, Mike. Only the best of the best. Come on.
You guys want to talk Vaughan Rangers? I mean, all day long, right?
Exactly.
So, Mike, what's been the biggest success story for you guys so far this year on and off the ice?
Yeah, it's a great question. Coming into this season, a little bit of a rebuild. So the fellow who was coaching last season moved up to AA, took two of our top players, one of our goalies departed. We brought in 7 new players, which is pretty big. We weren't quite sure how it was all going to come together, culture-wise, scoring-wise, what it was going to look like through the season. And I mean, it has exceeded all of our expectations pretty wildly at this point. We've taken down 2 tournaments, one in September at Richmond Hill. We took down the Vaughan Regional Silver Stick Tournament back at the beginning of December. We got another tournament coming up. We're just about to clinch the GTHL West. We're maybe about 1 win away. So it's just been really incredible. You bring a group of kids together, culturally, teaching them about leadership, teaching them all about really important things off the ice. It's just been a great success for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear because knowing that it's hearing you talk about that, you got 7 new players, you kind of had a rebuild team, it sounds like, and you've got a great winning streak and you're about to clinch. That really shows a lot of effort and time you guys have probably spent with the kids. So can you tell us about the team camaraderie on and off the ice, about a bit what you talked about, maybe share a little bit of what you're doing and how you get them to interact with each other and really become teammates?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the things that we did early on, we made a decision, the coaching staff, to not give out any letters this year. New kids, old kids, we kind of just set the tone for everybody in the mix. And we really spent a lot of time teaching them what leadership is about and what leaders are. And so, in our dressing room, leaders don't need letters. Leaders lead by their behavior. And again, things that we consider really important, making each other better. Not just, the centers on the line or the wingers or the defense, but everybody pulling for each other. And you start to get that real feeling of a family. Vaughan Rangers, we talk about our team as a family, not just the parents and the kids, but everybody together in the room. And it's just a pretty incredible team that we've got.
So your team was able to win the Vaughan Silver Stick tourney in December. You beat Leaside Flames in the final. What strategies did you guys use in the Silver Stick tournament, especially against Leaside in the final?
That final game, and I mean, kudos. Leaside is a very good team. I know we'll talk about rankings in a little bit. They're sitting first in the East. That particular game, as it turns, we were down 3-1 in the third period. And, hockey's just a funny game. There's times where you think that the game is over, and you see it in youth hockey. Kids stop skating, shoulders start shrugging. It's like, hey, we lost this game. Goal goes in, another goal goes in, another goal goes in. It's 4-3 all of a sudden, and we're standing there like, what the heck just happened? Parents are jumping up and down. I mean, it was just, it was like, you see it in movies. You don't believe that these things actually happen. That's not to say that we played a bad hockey game, but Leaside came out. I mean, they were just all over us in the first period. We weathered the storm, and, late game, kids just turn it on, and next thing you know, we're walking out with all sorts of medals and awards. I mean, these types of things are pretty awesome. And, for me, when I get to lift that up and, be there with my son and all the other kids, it's just incredible. It was just such a magic kind of day.
That's awesome.
Now, you guys have had a lot of success this year. But you did, so when you won that Silver Stick, you advanced to the Silver Stick finals in Port Huron, and you faced much stiffer competition, including the third-ranked team in Ontario, the Bell River Canadians. What were the significant challenges that your team encountered during that tournament, and how did you guys fare against those top teams?
Yeah, we definitely came back a better team. Now, I can say that today we went 0-4 down there. The first day we played two very strong teams, the Bell River team, great players. We lost that game 5-2. It was the first game that we showed up. I think a lot of the kids were nervous. They felt the pressure at an 8 a.m. game. Later that afternoon, we played a team out of Wyoming. I think that they were a tournament team, the Wyoming Pronghorns. They had a couple kids on that team that were just lights out. I mean, one kid that just had the Bedard toe drag release like all day long, this kid. Kudos to them. Like, they were a super strong team. The next day we lost both games. I think that they were US AA teams. Both those games we lost by a goal. They were tight games. We could have won. Those were the types of games that we really want to go down and compete. Didn't go our way, win or lost, but we were right in the mix of those games. So overall, competition, you're at a tournament where every team that's there won their tournaments to get there. So there are no bad teams. They're just better and even, crazier teams than you thought were possible at your age and at your division. So it was a great experience. I think the kids took a lot away. We came back stronger. We're playing better hockey now. We know, while we're at the top of the hill in the GTHL West, everyone's looking up at us. We also recognize that there's teams out there that are significantly better than us provincially and obviously, North America as well.
That's awesome. That's cool. Where is Bell River? Do you guys know where that is? I've never heard of that team, Puff, or Mike. Do you know where it is?
They're down like Windsor area.
Windsor area is where that Bell River is. Okay.
Yeah.
And they got to play a team from Wyoming. Wyoming is a state that I really want to go to, actually. That's like on my hot list because I don't know why. But anyway, before I go into the next question, I do want to pause here. And actually, Puffy, I want to ask you some questions about the rankings. So let's come back to how Mike even got on the podcast here with, at the time, it was 11 in a row. Coming into the meeting here today, I find out it's 14 in a row. They've had a tournament. They've had success in that tournament. Those get counted. And we're 34th. Last week we were 34th. Okay, so that means there's 33 teams across Ontario that I guess have more, more wins or more points on those wins, or how Puffy, I'm going to address it to you first. Like, is there some change this week on this team that you can share with us already on this podcast, or maybe we can explain how you end up in 34th with that many wins in a row?
Well, the biggest thing is obviously who you play matters. And so the more tournaments you can get into, so these guys playing in two Silver Sticks and against the quality of competition they faced would certainly help their ranking. Even losing to a team like Bell River, if you could keep it close, it's going to bring you up. But goal differential is a huge factor in in how these teams get ranked. And it's sort of a bit of a crappy way, because if teams that are playing weaker teams and they run up the score, now it's a max 7. I think actually at the U11 age, it's only a max of 5 you can win by. But that's a big cause of it. Now, you guys seem to have a pretty decent goals against differential, but in a weaker division, it's hard to really run up the rankings too high.
Okay. All right, Mike, what do you think of that? Any other input on the rankings? Because I know you were following along there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, and like due respect to, I think it was a father and son that started the site, and it kind of took on a life of its own. I think it's cool, and probably the further that you stand away from the screen, the more sense that it might make, and as you get kind of closer to it, the less sense it would make. And there's things that, by no means is it a perfect system. When I look at it, I don't think about the ranking of my team. I think more, hey, if I'm going to a tournament like we're going this weekend, at least it gives me some sort of guidepost of like, this is going to be a crazy good team, a team in or around our strength, or somebody weaker than us. So I use it more from that perspective.
Right.
Of course, I think that we should be higher on the list. There's teams that are, a couple places higher than us that have like 20 losses. It's like, okay, there's something in the algorithm that doesn't quite make sense. I get the goal difference. We're actually like 8th or 9th if you sort it by goal difference. Our relative schedule is weak or weaker than all the higher ranked teams. And in GTHL West, there are some weaker teams that are way down at the bottom. So I guess the relativity of that starts to make sense. I don't know.
Okay. Good. Well, listen, I'm going to be the first one to admit here, I'm really shallow, and I get my updates once a week from Puffy on this podcast. And so to me, it's just like, if you're in first or third or fifth, and I look at it in a very simple way, but I get it. I know there's a lot more complexity to the rankings, and, kudos to the site and the people that started. It's what we use to like spark this podcast and have conversations around. But it is interesting. We do get a lot of commentary around it and people telling us on how to read it and how to look at it and stuff. But I'll be the first to admit I'm a little shallow when it comes to it. And I just and our team sits in 13th place. And no matter what, we don't seem to move. So, I always joke with Puffy about that.
Well, I got a question for both of you guys. How did you guys, does your parent groups pay much attention to the rankings, or is it not really a thing for you guys?
I would say with the Rangers, it's not really something that's too much of a focus. In fact, when we shared it with some of them, we actually left the tournaments and we joined a different tournament because they were using the ranking systems. And I'm not knocking them how they used it, but they recategorized us into a AA division without asking us. And I said, maybe that's okay, maybe not, but the teams that we're playing are ranked higher than us. And as soon as you leave like your group of scoring, so here we're in the 2013 A division for Ontario, but as soon as you leave your group, the relativity completely goes out the window. That particular tournament organizer got pretty heated that I was asking those types of questions as though this was some sort of like hockey Bible or something. It's like, it's just a website, like cool and all, but he got really kind of wound up about it. So we parted ways and found a different tournament for our team to play in, which, interestingly enough, the teams that we're playing against are all in or around our relative ranking. So it's like, that's perfect. Yeah. Let's go have a competitive weekend, whether we win or lose. Like, let's go play teams that are of equal caliber, at least seemingly of equal caliber, as opposed to guessing who we're playing from the US AA teams. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah. On our team, I would say we're like low key. We pretend we don't care about it, but then we always know the answer. You know what I mean? We're always like, yeah, I don't know. We're 13th. Like we know the answer. But like, I'm definitely not in the group of parents that like know everything, as you know, Puffy. Like I'm like sort of high level, 30,000 foot views of it. I get my news from you on here. But there are definitely, I think some, we're probably a 50-50. It's not overly competitive in terms of like, we like look at it religiously on our team, but like there's definitely groups that like keep up to date and know it. And even some of the kids. And I think they just like looking at stats of like something they're controlling, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So Mike, coming back to this now, having such a successful team with this year, like, can you give us a little insight, or the people a little bit of insight around the training routine, and how does that training, you talked a bit about off the ice, like what specifically maybe you're doing that's contributing to your success?
I mean, one thing that we really believe in the team, and I know, there's GTHL guidelines and all of that, but, due respect to GTHL and the guidelines, like for us, part of what's important to us is that all of our players play. Every kid on the team can play hockey. Like, we don't have a weak spot on the team. It makes it really hard to match up against us. Like, you can come watch our team, come watch 4 different games and tell me who the best kid is on my team. Like, it's one of those teams. We'll just keep coming at you. Like, doesn't matter which line we start. So we're constantly starting. We shift all of our lines in terms of starting. We don't have a power play line. We don't have a penalty kill line. Like, all the kids get out there and do it. And so we implement that in practice, right? So it's not like we're focusing on 1 or 2. I mean, centers, we do a lot of work on face-off draws. We probably win 80-90% of the draws we take, because I don't think teams and coaches actually practice that sort of stuff. We're breaking up, defense is working on defense, ozone, F1, F2, F3. We got some pretty advanced stuff that we're starting to get in at this point of the season with the kids. So it's really good. And the coaches that we have on staff all played high level hockey. So it's kind of cool, like being a leader, and, great leaders bring people that are better, smarter, whatever it is, wherever you are in life. And so we have a really good mix. Other fathers that are in the mix that played high-level hockey. We have one father who does tremendous amount of work with our goalies. Like, every single practice, both of our goalies have like an on-ice trainer with them. So it's pretty active. We use ProStar. If you're familiar with ProStar hockey, like we get a trainer in who pushes the kids pretty hard on skills, not just skating, but puck work, stick work.
Right.
So we focus that way. So a lot of skills, but at the same time, at this age, like, we focus on team strategy, team tactics, which, Hockey Canada is like, wait till they're 14 or 15. Is like, no, these kids can play like a team. And if you come watch a game, more often than not, some nights where we could be asleep,
right.
But more often than not, you see a good team hockey, moving the puck and moving around. So those are the things that we focus on in practice.
Good. Yeah. No, it sounds really good. And you messed up my next question, which was single out the best player on your team. No, just kidding. You said they all were. So like, if they're listening, you're all number one.
I had multiple tonight at practice. They're like, "Are you on the podcast? When's the podcast?" My own son's like, "Are you going to talk about me on the podcast?" I'm like, "I'm not that interested." Yeah. But now I got him. I got his.
Now you got him.
I got the plug for him in there.
That's awesome.
I think that's what really is so cool, because most hockey teams is like, you put the C on the kid.
Yeah.
Go watch the team, whoever has the C. It's like, hey, there's the best player. Like, everyone get on that kid. Like,
right.
It's going to take you a while to find that kid. And you know what? A night later, it's going to be someone else that's going off. Every single kid on our team, every player has scored multiple goals, like, including exhibition and tournaments. We've put the puck in the net like 200 and something times.
Oh.
Every kid, there's multiple kids that are getting hat tricks. I got a defenseman who pulled a Michigan in a tournament game.
Like, just about nice. Yeah.
I mean, it's
like the new cherry on the top. It feels like that's like, them doing a Michigan.
Yeah. And, like we try to keep the kids at least relatively, like, Sellies. I mean, Sellies are a big deal even up in the NHL, but, we try to keep them a little as respectful as possible. But, like, shoot, the kid pulls a Selly in a tournament, in a Michigan in a tournament game. It's like, everybody Selly. Like,
you let that one go.
Everyone's getting fries after the game.
That's like the Little League home run where everyone runs on the field. The first time it goes over the fence, everyone's out there.
So as we come into the end of the season, I guess now in the back half, what are the team's goals for the end of the season, considering your recent success here?
Yeah, I mean, as you expect, I think it happens at all levels of hockey. Like, as you get later in the season, gearing up towards playoff, all the other teams have gotten better. And, one of our concerns midway through the year is, like, are we getting as good as we could be? Have we reached our peak? And we keep seeing every 2 weeks like another jump in where we are, and so that's exciting to see that there's still continued growth and improvement. The other teams in the West, they're all gunning for us. They all want to beat us. Like every single kid, we tell them before every single game, like we're the Vaughan Rangers. The kids in the other room want to take us out. There's nothing that would make them happier than to beat our team. And usually we finish that by saying that's not happening tonight. They can keep their dream alive for another day. And so as we gear towards playoffs, like we're about to lock down the West Division, the Pro Hockey or the Pro Life Cup, which is super awesome. We want to march into the playoffs. Nice. The team was in the city finals last year, went 0-2 against a really good Forest Hill team. Obviously we want to get back, goal number one, and then we want to finish the job as goal number two. So nice. We have our sights, set on that. We talk about it as a team. Kids know what we're trying to do. Again, we have one more tournament, so it'd be super cool to get a hat trick worth of tournaments this year. Close down the West and see if we can finish the job in the city finals.
Awesome. But so with the successful single A team, there's always a chance you're going to lose players to AA or even AAA if they really make a big push. How do you keep your team focused on finishing out this season as strong as possible when all that kind of stuff is happening on behind the scenes?
Yeah. I mean, look, like I tell every parent, and I'm as transparent. I mean, maybe it works against me at times, but everybody has to make the right decision for their player, for their family. There's no hard feelings. Like, hey, if your son or daughter, there's 3 girls on my team, which is the most, I think, maybe in the GTHL, but certainly in the U11, there's a couple good girls, and the ones on my team are lights out. But so boys or girls, wherever they're destined to go, if it's to AA or AAA or play up a year, I mean, they always get my full support if it makes sense for them to do it. On the flip side, I think I said it a few minutes ago, but we're the first place Vaughan Rangers, and I'm sure you would believe that there are many emails and many phone calls and text messages that are already coming my way of all sorts of talent. So, my goal and with the staff, our goal has been just create an environment where nobody wants to leave, create a winning environment, make it great here. If people make a decision that they want to go somewhere else, no hard feelings. There's a pretty long line that's starting to form at my door. So we'll see where things go. But I'm pretty optimistic and positive that majority of this team will be back in place next year. And if we bring anybody else in, whatever happens, like some fantastic talent at all levels that want to come play for our team.
Yeah, that is an outcome of being such a strong team, is you end up having sort of a whole bunch of people wanting to either join the team or then really sort of serious conversation about staying on the team or going to AA. So it is an interesting position to be in, especially at the U11 age group where, they're, thinking about the next few years and what they want to do, if they want to go up, and then also other, kids and parents not happy where they are or not satisfied or whatever it is, trying to get to your team. So I totally know what you're talking about because I've seen it specifically on, Sean and Tanya's team that they have. They always, seem to have a similar situation like that too. So with that, when you're managing parents, as a coach, I've never been a coach, Mike, just full transparency. I know I would never be a great coach. So I know my role here.
Not true, GCAT. You're a communicator.
I'm a communicator. I'm a storyteller. But how do the parents contribute to this team's success? You have a bunch of parents you have to manage on top of the kids. And why don't you tell us about that overall atmosphere on the team?
Yeah, I mean, as important as the skill is and the character of the individual player that we bring in, the families are equally important. I have a great picture from when we were in Sarnia. After our 4th game, in the hotel, pizzas were just out. Like every single parent was there. The kids were there. It's kind of unique, right? Everyone is really enjoying each other's company. As I mentioned, like the staff, the assistant coach, the assistant coaches, the trainer, our manager, like we're all parents on the team. So you got 5 right there that are, it's already a good percentage, plus our goalie trainer. So you got like 6 that are already in the mix. One of our mothers, I have to give her a shout out because she also helps us keep winning, which, she does all of our socials for us. And holy smokes, she's won us Chick-fil-A. She's won us like a crazy amount of coffee from Tim Hortons, let alone all the highlight reels and everything that she puts up. So, I mean, kudos to her. I'm probably forgetting.
She can help us out. We'll do a post and she can help us out. Well, we need some help on the socials.
The socials are amazing. The kids absolutely love the socials. But yeah, like just the overall staff, super high quality people. Everyone that really cares. All the parents that are in the mix really care both about their kids, the whole team. So it's a really nice feeling, a nice atmosphere. I'm sure there's politics that I don't get involved with here or there, but if they exist on our team, it's pretty minimal. Like it's a really good group. We're really lucky with the families that we have in the mix. And I'm not just saying that because I know they're all going to be watching this.
Yeah. Well, you can tell because you know what you never hear. You never hear people say, I got a really good pitcher in Sarnia. So the fact that you said that means you have a good team and you have a good group of parents because, there's, not to diss Sarnia too much, but, there's not a hell of a lot of great pitchers there.
No. not a lot down there.
No. Okay. Well, if you've listened to our show before, we always ask our guests one final question, which is, do you have a pump up song or do you have a song that your team really rallies behind? And so with the Vaughan Rangers, is there a pump up song you put on for the team or is there a song that necessarily
what's going to be playing if you guys get that next championship?
That's it. What is it?
I should have better prepared. So at our home games, we announced the team with Enter Sandman, which is
nice.
It's just so classic. Like it's hard not to get pumped up to that song. There's a few that go around the dressing room, and they're still pretty young, so we got to make sure that we have the clean versions of whatever's being played. Lots of AC/DC, lots of kind of classic rock that goes on. A lot of the traditional anthems. I think they like all that. And then there's probably some that I don't even know what's being played. But great question. If we win, geez, I don't know. You put me on the spot. I shouldn't have come back to answer that question. I don't know. I got to think about that. Invite me on again so all the kids can come back. But
when it happens, have your social tag us and we'll make sure we catch it on there when you
catch the tune, whatever tune you guys got going.
Yeah.
At that point, it would be hard not to be playing We Are the Champions.
Right.
Little
Classic.
Queen, which I think made it into our dressing room, the Richmond Hill tournament that we won. And when we did win, a couple of the players, I think it was like three of the girls, all the girls were like, can we pour the water on you? I was like, sure. It was just like raining. It was like the Gatorade that you see at Super Bowl. It was just raining all over me. So, we'll definitely have fun if we could pull off the cities. That's for sure.
Awesome. Okay, well, Mike, that's what we got for you. We really appreciate you coming on. We really appreciate hearing all about the Vaughan Rangers. Good luck for the rest of the season. And thanks for making the time to join us on To the Rink. And we're cheering for you. So we'll be watching.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hopefully we'll see you at Scotia Bank Pond. I guess we'll see you at the Scotia Pond at the end of the year.
Yeah,
you will indeed. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
That was a great interview. Mike was great, terrific guy. The thing I took away from that is a bit of a swagger about the Vaughan Rangers organization.
Yeah.
They definitely, if you look through a lot of the age groups and divisions, they tend to be near the top. And most teams are gunning for them. I know at both Barrett and Austin's age, they have strong teams. And everyone is sort of gunning for the Vaughan Rangers. It is a real thing. So they do a great job. They obviously hire great coaches and they have great families and kids. And that's why, you can see it for sure.
He's a great coach. You can tell. You can just tell he's confident. He's got a swagger, which I like. You have to appreciate it. Like it's a really nice, and he's like all about his team. Even though he called every one of his players his best players. That was a bit of no, just kidding. But if you look at these top teams, that is really usually what separates. It's not always your best players. It's sometimes it's the bottom of your roster. If it's strong, you're a very tough team to beat, and you can see that's what they have going for them. Right, and it's more than likely a reflection too of what they're putting, the team that they're building there in terms of the camaraderie and the on and off the ice stuff that he talked about. And so, kudos to Coach Mike and the team, and we really appreciate him coming on. That was a really good. And his pump up song, as has been the trend for guys like us, was like 90s rock or 80s rock.
100%.
That was Enter Sandman. Great song.
Yep.
Yeah,
amazing. Can't beat it.
So we'll see where they end up at the end of this. End of the season, but we're cheering for the Rangers. So go Rangers! If you're listening, all the best to you guys this year. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing how you end at the end of the season.
Yep. If we're doing our live pod, hopefully at Scotiabank, at the
G's got to invite us.
The championship.
We need to go fund me for the G to invite us. We need the G to recognize to the rink at this point. No.
Yes, it's time.
Yeah. Maybe the G should invite us to that lobby, do a live pod from the Scotia Pond lobby. That would be, that's like pinnacle G right there.
That's when we'll know we made it.
Yeah. If you're outside of the two places I've noticed where they you can tell you've made it is you're either at the York, is it York University Canlan? Seems to host a lot of things. And then, or the Scotia Pond, like that, you're into something if you're there. One of those two spots.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Barrett's team's been in the city finals the last 2 years, and it's awesome when you're showing up at Scotia Pond for a big game and it's sunny out, and it's great.
Agreed.
Great spot to be.
So there you go. So anyway, nice new episode. Thanks, Mike, for joining the pod. Appreciate everyone listening. If you could follow us on Instagram, you can see us on YouTube or listen on Spotify or Apple or all platforms. We really appreciate it. Leave a review. Stoff, thanks so much for doing the pod with us. Mike, thanks again for joining us. Puff, anything else for the week?
Not much. It's just playoff crunch is coming, so everyone start getting those W's. You need those points.
There it is.
Every position matters.
Awesome. All right. Even parents, supportive parents. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thanks.